First Contact Protocol. The research vessel Eternal Curiosity drifted silently in the shadow of the gas giant's outermost moon. Its passive sensors extended like invisible tendrils, gathering data on the unknown vessel that had entered the star system 3 cycles earlier. First Contact Specialist Zirax stood motionless, his 4 eyes fixed on the holographic display as information streamed in from the scan. Preliminary analysis complete, announced Science Officer Tillara, her scaled skin shifting to a pale blue. The Vexari physiological response to intense concentration. The vessel appears to be a military craft of previously unknown design. Zirax clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. In over 700 years of space exploration, the Vexari Confederation had encountered 23 spacefaring civilizations. Each followed predictable evolutionary patterns, peaceful expansion after achieving planetary unity. The appearance of an unknown military vessel was unprecedented. Display the scan results, Zirax ordered. The hologram shifted, revealing a 3-dimensional model of the human ship. Unlike the elegant, efficient designs favored by the Confederation, this vessel was angular and asymmetrical, bristling with what appeared to be weapons emplacements and communication arrays. Curious design, muttered Tillara. Inefficient utilization of space, excess mass, irregular power distribution. Her voice contained the subtle harmonic that indicated confusion. Commander, the construction principles defy conventional logic. Zirax leaned forward. Elaborate. Tillara manipulated the display, highlighting various systems within the vessel. The ship contains multiple redundant systems, not merely backups, but entirely separate mechanisms capable of performing the same functions. 3 independent life support networks, decentralized command structures, manual override capabilities for nearly all automated systems. Resource inefficiency, commented strategic analyst Vorn, the 3rd member of the observation team. No evolved species would waste materials in such a manner. Unless... Zirax paused, his outer eyes narrowing. Unless they expect critical systems to fail regularly. The 3 Vexari contemplated this disturbing possibility in silence. Their civilization had developed spaceflight as the natural consequence of unified scientific progress. The notion of building vessels expecting catastrophic damage was alien to their thinking. Weapons analysis, Zirax prompted. Vorn stepped forward, his movements precise. The vessel carries a variety of offensive and defensive systems. Most curious are the kinetic weapons, physically launched projectiles rather than energy-based systems. Primitive, Tillara noted, yet implemented with disturbing effectiveness, Vorn continued. Their kinetic systems would continue functioning in conditions that would disable our energy weapons. Electromagnetic pulse, radiation surges, power fluctuations, none would render them inoperative. They expect to fight in compromised conditions, Zirax realized aloud. There's more, Tillara interjected, her scales shifting toward violet. Indication of distress. The vessel houses approximately 2,000 individuals, based on life sign readings. 2,000, Zirax repeated incredulously. For a vessel of that size. Yes, and according to thermal patterns and movement analytics, they appear to be cross-trained in multiple shipboard functions. These aren't specialized crew members. They're adaptable generalists. Vorn's analysis was equally troubling. The crew quarters are hardened against radiation, vacuum exposure, and combat damage. Their living spaces are designed to withstand conditions that would be immediately fatal to our personnel. No species would evolve to accept such conditions, Tillara stated, her scientific certainty evident. They didn't evolve to accept them, Zirax said quietly. They chose them. The observation chamber fell silent as the implications settled over the team. The Vexari, like all Confederation species, had developed spaceflight as an extension of their peaceful evolution. This unknown species had apparently developed it as a weapon. Communication protocols contain multiple redundancies, Vorn continued. They can coordinate even with primary networks destroyed. Information systems can be operated manually if automation fails. They expect to fight in conditions that would kill our crews instantly, Zirax concluded. Yes, Commander, Talara confirmed. And based on medical facilities detected throughout the vessel, they expect to sustain casualties and continue functioning. They have trauma centers distributed throughout rather than centralized. The implications were staggering. Every Confederation species had reached the stars only after achieving planetary peace. The notion of bringing warfare into space was virtually inconceivable. There's something else in the data, Talara added, her voice dropping. According to power signatures and thermal readings, they're conducting what appears to be combat training exercises inside the vessel, while in transit. They train for war even during peaceful travel, Vorn observed. Zirax studied the hologram once more. The design philosophy revealed a species that had incorporated conflict into their very existence. They didn't build ships to prevent failure. They built them to survive it. They didn't avoid combat. They prepared for it. Every aspect of their technology reflected a disturbing truth. This species expected the worst and engineered accordingly. We must report this immediately, Zirax decided. Initiate quantum transmission to Confederation Council. As his officers complied, Zirax couldn't tear his gaze from the image of the human warship. Its design was ugly by Vexari standards, lacking the mathematical harmony they valued. Yet he couldn't deny a grudging admiration for its brutal practicality. Commander, Talara interrupted his thoughts. We've intercepted communications from the vessel. They're broadcasting openly, apparently unconcerned about detection. Content. It appears to be recreational entertainment, stories of historical battles, commemorations of fallen warriors. They're celebrating their military history. Zirax felt a chill pass through his body. A species that celebrates warfare. Not merely celebrates, Vorn corrected, analyzing the transmissions. They venerate it. Their communications reference concepts like sacrifice, honor, and courage in the face of death. They have mythology built around combat. The quantum transmitter signaled ready status, awaiting Zirax's report to the Council. He hesitated, composed his thoughts, then stepped forward. This is First Contact Specialist Zirax aboard research vessel Eternal Curiosity. We have encountered a previously unknown spacefaring species in the Neuraxis system. Preliminary analysis indicates a militaristic civilization with technology designed specifically for combat conditions. Their engineering reflects an expectation of system failure and casualty sustainability. He paused, then added, I recommend immediate implementation of Caution Protocol Delta. This species does not follow evolutionary norms. They carry their conflicts to the stars not by accident, but by design. The humans, as they call themselves, are not like us. As the transmission concluded, Zirax returned his attention to the holographic display. The human warship continued its steady course through the system, unaware it was being observed. Your orders, Commander, Vorn inquired. Zirax considered. Confederation protocol dictated withdrawal and observation from a safe distance pending Council instructions. Yet something about this strange species intrigued him. We maintain position and continue passive observation, he decided, but prepare the engines for immediate departure if they detect our presence. And if they approach us? Talara asked. Zirax had no ready answer. For the first time in his long career, he faced a truly unpredictable situation, a species that defied all logical patterns of development. A species that built for war among the stars. The humans are not like us, he repeated softly. And that makes them the most dangerous species we have ever encountered. The nature of warriors. 3 days passed as the Eternal Curiosity maintained its concealed position, gathering data on the human vessel. The Confederation Council had ordered continued observation while a diplomatic team was assembled, an unprecedented precaution. Typically, first contact proceeded immediately upon discovery of a new species, but the human's militaristic profile had triggered rarely used protocols. Commander, you need to see this, Tellara called, interrupting Zirax's meditation cycle. Her scales had shifted to the bright amber of excitement or alarm, sometimes indistinguishable in Vexari physiology. Zirax joined her at the primary observation console. "What have you found?" "The human vessel is conducting some sort of exercise." She manipulated the holographic display, zooming in on the warship. "They've deliberately disabled sections of their ship and are simulating emergency conditions." Vorn joined them, his analytical mind already processing the implications. "Fascinating. They're creating artificial crises to test response capabilities." The three Vexari watched as thermal imaging revealed frantic activity throughout the human vessel. Power signatures fluctuated as systems went offline and backups engage. Communication patterns change, becoming more structured and rhythmic. "They're practicing for disaster," Zirax observed, deliberately inducing failure to prepare for it. "That's not all," Tellara continued. "Based on our psychological modeling, we've identified something remarkable about their command structure." She highlighted a section of the ship where a concentration of humans had gathered. "Unlike our hierarchical decision-making process, the humans appear to implement a flexible authority model. Leaders emerge based on the specific crisis rather than predetermined rank. Adaptable command," Vorn noted with professional admiration. "In the 32 civilizations documented by the Confederation, none has developed such a system." Zirax studied the patterns with growing concern. "They're not merely warriors. They're problem solvers who use warfare as their laboratory." The observation continued for hours as the human vessel completed its exercise, systematically testing every backup system and contingency protocol. The Vexari team compiled detailed reports, their initial fear gradually shifting toward a complex mix of apprehension and respect. "Commander," Tellara said finally, "the Council has transmitted new instructions. They wish us to attempt communication." Zirax clicked his mandibles in surprise. "Direct contact? So soon?" "Yes. The diplomatic corps believes understanding the humans' intentions is critical before they encounter other Confederation vessels." Zirax considered the implications. First contact was typically a carefully choreographed ritual, preceded by months of cultural study and preparation. This accelerated timeline suggested serious concern at the highest levels of government. "Very well. Prepare a standard greeting package. Non-threatening posture, emphasis on peaceful intentions." He hesitated, "but maintain engine readiness for immediate departure." As Tellara compiled the greeting message, Vorn approached Zirax privately. "Commander, I've completed my analysis of the human psychological data. There's something you should know." "Proceed." "These humans, they're not merely prepared for violence. They actively reject it while simultaneously excelling at it." Vorn's voice contained the harmonic of cognitive dissonance. "Their communications contain recurring themes of peace achieved through strength, of wars fought to end warfare." "Contradiction," Zirax noted. "Yes, but a functional one. They maintain military readiness precisely because they claim to value peace." Vorn's analytical mind struggled with the paradox. It's as though they've integrated conflict into their cooperative structures rather than eliminating it. Before Zirax could respond, Tellara's voice interrupted. "Commander, the human vessel has altered course. They are heading directly toward us." "Impossible," Zirax responded. "Our cloaking field has been penetrated," Tellara confirmed. "They've detected us through means we don't understand." Zirax felt the cold sensation of fear, but suppressed it with professional discipline. "Options. Withdrawal is still possible," Vorn suggested. "Our engines outclass theirs." "No," Zirax decided. "The Council wishes contact. We shall establish it, but on alert status. Activate defensive screens. Prepare the greeting message." Tension filled the command center as the human warship approached. Its trajectory was precise, not aggressive, but unmistakably deliberate. At exactly the minimum safe distance prescribed by Confederation protocols, it stopped. "They know our safety parameters," Tellara whispered. "How could they know?" They observed us observing them, Zirax realized. While we studied them, they studied us. A communication signal reached the eternal curiosity, simple binary code rather than the quantum encryption used by Confederation vessels. The universal translation matrix processed it, converting the alien language to comprehensible form. Greetings, vessel of unknown origin. This is Captain Eleanor Chen of the United Earth Alliance ship, Resilient. We mean you no harm and wish to establish peaceful contact. Please respond. The voice was calm, assured, containing none of the aggression the Vexeri had feared from a militaristic species. Zirax nodded to Talara, who transmitted their prepared response. Greetings, Captain Chen. This is First Contact Specialist Zirax of the Vexeri Confederation vessel Eternal Curiosity. We also seek peaceful exchange. There was a brief pause before the human captain responded. We detected your scans of our vessel 3 days ago. Your technology is impressive, but your sensor emissions were detectable to our specialized equipment. May I ask why you chose observation rather than direct contact? Zirax exchanged glances with his team. Honesty seemed the wisest course. Your vessel's military design prompted caution. The Confederation has not previously encountered a spacefaring species with such focus on warfare capability. Another pause. When Captain Chen responded, her voice contained a new element, something the translator identified as amusement. I understand your caution, Specialist Zirax. From your perspective, our ship must seem excessively armed. The Resilient is indeed a military vessel, but primarily serves exploration and diplomatic functions. The weapons you detected are defensive in nature. Defensive? Zirax couldn't hide his skepticism. Your ship contains enough firepower to devastate a small planet. Yes, Chen agreed without hesitation, because space is dangerous, and humanity has learned painful lessons about unpreparedness. Our history is filled with civilizations that failed to anticipate threats until too late. We build for survival in a universe where survival isn't guaranteed. The candid response surprised Zirax. Your species embraces conflict, then? Not at all, Chen replied. We abhor it, but we recognize its possibility. The exercise you observed wasn't about warfare, it was about survival. We train not because we seek combat, but because we respect its cost enough to be ready for it. Zirax considered this perspective, so alien to Confederation philosophy, yet containing its own coherent logic. Captain Chen, would you accept a diplomatic delegation aboard your vessel? The Confederation seeks greater understanding of your species. We would welcome it. Chen responded immediately, and perhaps afterward, you might consider hosting some of our team aboard the Eternal Curiosity. Cultural exchange benefits both parties. The request was unexpected but reasonable. Zirax made a quick decision. Agreed. We shall prepare a delegation. As communications ended, Talara approached him. Commander, are you certain this is wise? We know little about these humans, which is precisely why we must learn more, Zirax replied. They demonstrated awareness of our presence for days without hostile action. Their captain initiated contact with restraint and courtesy. These are not the actions of mindless warriors. Yet they build for war, Vorn noted. They build for survival, Zirax corrected, repeating Chen's words. Perhaps there's wisdom in that approach we've yet to understand. Hours later, as the diplomatic shuttle prepared to depart for the human vessel, Zirax composed his updated report to the Confederation Council. He chose his words carefully. The humans present a unique profile among spacefaring species. They combine technological adaptation with psychological complexity in ways our models fail to predict. Their militaristic appearance belies a nuanced relationship with conflict. They prepare for it precisely because they claim to value its absence. He paused, then added his personal assessment. In the humans, we may have encountered not merely a new species, but a new paradigm of evolutionary development, one that incorporated conflict as a crucible rather than eliminating it as an obstacle. Whether this represents a threat or an opportunity remains to be determined. But I believe dismissing them as merely warlike would be a dangerous oversimplification. As the shuttle departed toward the waiting human vessel, Zirax contemplated the strange species that built warships for peace and trained for disaster to prevent it. For the first time in his career, he faced a civilization that defied categorization. The humans were not like the Vexari, but perhaps that was precisely what made them worth understanding.